Hi everyone, welcome back if you're still here. It has been a while. I say a while, it's been over a year since I've done a video on here. So I'm gonna just, I've been wanting to get back into it for a while. And this morning I just kind of woke up and thought, I'm just gonna film a video today, and it's gonna be a bit of a reintroduction because it's been that long. I think I'm just kind of feeling like I'm starting from scratch anyway, and just a bit of an explanation of what's been going on in the past 14 or so months since I last did a video. So for anyone who's new and is seeing me for the first time, I'm Jodie and I'm 28 and I'm engaged to Luke, and we have a little girl, Phoebe, who has just turned 6. So we are getting married in February 2020, so just over 3 months away. The reason I stopped last year was because I was doing it all on my phone, which was fine, but my phone wasn't the best and it was struggling to, I wasn't having much, it was just stressing me out basically. So I finally did get a camera, but I've still no laptop, so I say I've got a camera, I'm still filming on my phone because I cannot find my battery pack for my camera. I think Luke's moved it, so I'm going to have to find it when he gets home from work. So, but I have got a new phone since, so the phone is a bit better as well. So we're just going to see how we go and play it by ear, and I'll hopefully keep going. So yeah, so 2019 has been a bit of an up and down year for us. It started off great, well, because we booked the wedding the year before, so we've had 2 years to plan the wedding. So I went into 2019 thinking this is going to be the year where I'm going to box everything off, get everything done, properly get into the planning, because we'd not, apart from booking the venue, we'd not really done much else because we felt it was a bit too far in advance. So I thought 2019 is going to be the year I get everything done, spend my weekends kind of doing wedding planning, doing shopping, and just doing all that kind of jazz that goes with planning a wedding. And we had booked our first family holiday abroad as well for June 2019 to Turkey, and Luke's mum and dad booked as well, so it was going to be a nice family holiday, a week in the sun. It was just going to be fab. So the year started fine, nothing major, was kind of just getting into the new year. March, April time, my granddad became quite poorly. He was losing drastic amounts of weight, he didn't have much of an appetite, and just didn't look very well. So he was taken into hospital at the end of April and diagnosed with pneumonia, which we were not relieved, but we were just glad we had some answers, because he'd been getting quite breathless and things, and we thought, right, that'll explain it. And I know they can treat pneumonia, so I was like, right, he's in hospital, he's in the best place, he'll have the treatment, he'll start to feel better, everything will be fine. So that was the end of April, but whilst he was in, he was having like routine tests, he was having some scans, and then my dad had a phone call to go in and meet with someone because they'd found a mass on his pancreas. But at the time they couldn't tell us what it was. They just said they found something, it's going to need some further investigation. Yeah, so that was that. So it was like, right, okay, we'll just take it as it comes. So he had these further investigations, and we got the news it was cancer, and it was in his pancreas and his lungs. So that was a pretty tough blow. But at this point we didn't know how advanced it was or anything, so he went and had more tests, and obviously all these things were taking time, so time was getting on. And then in the middle of May, 3 weeks before we were due to go on holiday, we found out it was at stage 4. So that was a bit of a shock, because we just felt everything was happening so fast. He'd gone from being fine at the beginning of the year, like spending Christmas with us, and he looked after Phoebe for us, over some of the school holidays when we were struggling for childcare. So it was all happening really, really fast. They didn't, my dad, my granddad and my dad's sister didn't want to know how long, they didn't want to be given a prognosis. They just wanted to know what the treatment plan was. So the consultant said, we can offer some chemo. It won't cure it, but it could prolong his life. So my granddad agreed to try it, but if his agreement was he's willing to try it, but if it made him too poorly, he would rather not have it. We were trying to get prepared for a holiday, and as much as I was looking forward to it, there was just something in the pit of my stomach that I wasn't, because I didn't want to feel like anything was gonna happen while I was away. But just before we left, we was kind of filled with the confidence of he'd been discharged from hospital, so he was back at home, and he was due to go for his first round of chemo on the day we went on holiday. So I was kind of like, right, okay, that's happening. He's on the better side of it. He's at home. Things will be what they'll be. Just go away, have a good time, and we'll just see what happens over the next few months. So we went away and had a fantastic time. Phoebe had an absolute blast. We had the week in Turkey. And then we got back early hours of a Tuesday morning. We got back into our house about 4 o'clock in the morning, so literally got in, dumped the suitcases, went straight to bed. And then I woke up about 9 o'clock, just wanting to get ahead on some washing. I needed to go and do some food shopping, and I was just up. And then my mum phoned me, which I thought was a bit odd, because she said, oh, I'll come up for a cup of tea and a catch up in about an hour. But I was like, my mum's normally meant to be at work on a Tuesday, but she said she'd been a bit unwell, so she'd just not been in. I thought, oh, fair enough. Anyway, she came up, she got to mine for about 10 o'clock, and when she came in, and she said, I didn't want to say over the phone, but basically 3 days before we came back off holiday, my granddad had a stroke and had been admitted back into hospital and had deteriorated quite a lot. But my mum and dad didn't want to tell us while we were away, because there's nothing we could have done. And I think my mum felt in a bit of a funny situation, but I wasn't angry at her for not telling me, because it would have ruined the last few days. I wouldn't have been able to do anything over there anyway. So she made the right call in waiting till I got home to tell me that had happened. So yeah, so we found that out that day. So that day was just a whirlwind of emotion. I was tired. I'd come back to that news, and I went that night to see my granddad. And in the space of 10 days since I had last seen him, it was a shock to see how much he had changed. So I went with my dad. Yeah, he'd had this stroke, but again, there's nothing they could do for him. He'd had it. Yeah, so that was the Tuesday night, and then I went again on the Thursday, and he was such a different person. Like he wasn't my granddad on the Thursday. He was quite agitated and shouty, and that really upset me, because I'd never seen him like that before. So that was that. He was in the hospital, and then he was having further tests on this cancer, and things just from that point started happening very, very quickly. About a week or so after we got back, we found out that it was spreading. It was in his brain, and it was just spreading, and the prognosis was given for 3 months. So to then take that in was just awful. We were just like, oh my goodness, it's just happening so fast. It was just horrible. So we were trying to get our head around it, and then I was just so upset, because I was thinking, I mean, I know people can live longer, it can be less, you just don't know. But in my head I was just thinking, is my granddad not going to be here to see me get married? Which absolutely broke my heart to think that, because I thought, me and Luke have been together for 12 years and we're only just getting married, and I think my granddad might not see it. And that was just a hard pill to swallow. And then trying to explain to Phoebe what was going on, it was just hard. So we had the prognosis of 3 months, and then he went back a week later to see the consultant, and after running more tests, this 3 months suddenly got cut to 6 weeks. He had a prognosis of 6 weeks. But whilst all this was going on, we had found out Luke's auntie, she had cancer and had been diagnosed at stage 4 at the end of last year, but she'd been relatively well. But around the time we got back off holiday, she started deteriorating quite rapidly as well. So we had it on both sides. My granddad, Luke's auntie, and me and Luke were trying to comfort each other, and it was just horrible. So then my granddad was too poorly to be discharged home, so he went into like a care home where they could look after him, and he just deteriorated. Like, I was going to see him every other day, and each time I went, the deterioration was so rapid, and it got to one stage where I basically had to get him dressed for bed, which I never thought. You never think of you needing to do something like that, and I came home and I just broke my heart. So then, but I still went because I felt like I needed to support my dad. Because we're not the biggest family, we are quite a small family, and I just thought I need to support my dad, which me and my brother did, and it was just horrible. And then at the end of July, Luke's auntie passed away, and then a week and a half later, my granddad passed away. So we had 2 deaths within the space of 2 weeks, which was such an emotional time. But then trying to deal with your grief, and then trying to explain it to Phoebe, because this is the first time she'd seen any of us so upset and didn't really know what was going on. Trying to explain it to her and everything. I think we did okay in that. Like, she seemed to understand it in her own little way. So she now knows that they're in heaven and they're looking over her. So that's her way of dealing with it, which we did what we thought was right. But then with everything and the way things were planned, the funerals were a day apart. So Luke's auntie's was on the Wednesday, my granddad's was on the Thursday. So at the beginning of that week, I was just thinking, I cannot wait for this week to be over. In one respect, I was glad they were both in that week, because it was done, and they were going to be done. But it was just emotional because Luke's auntie and Luke's family are 100 miles away from where we live. So we went to work Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday night we dropped Phoebe off with my mum, because we'd made the decision not to take Phoebe. I know everyone's personal opinion and everyone chooses to do different, and there's no right or wrong, but for us we didn't want to. So we dropped Phoebe off at my mum's, had some food, and then drove 100 miles to Luke's mum and dad's. So we got to Luke's mum and dad's about 10 o'clock Tuesday night. Didn't really sleep. Got up on the Wednesday, went to Luke's auntie's funeral, which was just such an emotional and horrible day. Like, them circumstances are just awful. So we was there all day on the Wednesday. We only left about 7:30 Wednesday night, so we drove back. After such an emotional day, a drive of 100 miles back home was the hardest. I was the one that drove, and I just don't even know how I did it, to be honest, because in my head I just kept thinking, we've got to do all this again tomorrow. So we got home, went to bed, didn't sleep much, woke up on the Thursday and had my granddad's funeral. We got through it as you do, and we laid him to rest. And the only thing what kind of puts me at ease now, feeling more at peace, is he's with my grandma. They're back together, because my grandma passed away about 17 years ago. So that's my comfort in that. And he's not going to be at my wedding in person, but he's going to be there in other ways. I'm going to make sure that any grandparents and Luke's auntie, there's going to be things there for them, which I'll do, because I'm going to be doing some wedding videos. I'll incorporate what I've got planned in those. So that was pretty much the summer done and dusted. And then once all that was done, we were like, right, Phoebe's going back to school into year 1. We needed to get all the uniform, we just needed to get her everything ready for school. So there was a manic week of back to school shopping, but we got it all. Phoebe went back to school. it was mine and Luke's birthday, which was a bit bittersweet because not having the cards from my grandma and Luke's auntie was just hard. My granddad, sorry, and Luke's auntie was just weird. It was just so weird. So we went back to school, and then we was like, right, we need to kind of get things on track with the wedding, because everything had just took a back seat. With everything that was going on, it was the last thing on my mind. I just couldn't even think about it. So we got quite a few things organised, so we are now back on track. Phoebe turned 6 and had her first ever proper birthday party with all the school friends, which was amazing. She absolutely loved it. So she turned 6, so now we are full on trying to get prepared for Christmas, which is just around the corner. And I had my hen party, which was such a fantastic night. That was another thing we'd had to do. My hen party had originally been booked for in August, but when all this kind of started happening with my granddad and things were happening, I postponed it because I thought I just can't. I only plan on having one hen night, so I thought I want it to be a night we enjoy and not tinged with sadness. So I postponed it to October, and we had that, and with all my favourite people, and it was just such an amazing night. It just went so fast. I just wish I could do it all again. But I am going to be having another bit of afternoon tea hen party in January with like some elder relatives, like my grandma and her sister, and just a few people that couldn't make it to the other hen do. So it's not, I've got another that to look forward to. So yeah, so pretty much that's what's been going on. I just thought I wanted just to come on and update you and just let everyone know. But I thought now's the perfect time to kind of get back into it, because so many things are coming up. We've got Christmas, I said we're going to be doing things around the house, we've got the wedding, so there's a lot of content opportunities for me there, because I was actually getting pretty confident, and anyone who knows me personally knows I am shy, but somehow talking to a camera, I feel a bit more confident and I'll get there. So thanks for watching this video. I am going to try, I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself with regards to uploading. I am going to make sure I upload at least once a week, but if I can squeeze one more in I will, but I'm just going to play it by ear. Definitely once a week, probably on a Friday night, and then any extras might be just a bit more spontaneous. So please stick around and I shall see you all soon.